Hello everybody and welcome to my subscriber special. So, not everyone would celebrate 300 subs, but to me that's a big deal. I'm going to do that with a MEGATEN tier list. So, with complete transparency, I saw iDubbbz's video where he ranked the presidents, and I was like, man, I want to do that with MEGATEN. So, as you can see here, I got basically all the MEGATEN games that I could think of. I might be missing some. My one rule was that if it was a mobile game or a game you could 100% not get in America through legitimate means, then I didn't put on the list. So that's like none of the Majin Tensei Blind Thinker or any of the other hard to get games that you could only get if you had the Atlas mobile app. So without further ado, let's get into it. I added different tiers. So there's triple S, meaning it's like basically perfect, SS, S, A, B, and you get the picture. I'm going to start with something very easy for me to rank. Jack Bros. I play Jack Bros all the time. It's quite a good game. I play it. It only takes like an hour to beat if you can actually beat the last boss. Otherwise, it's a little longer. It's triple S. It's a perfect game. People like to meme that it's perfect, but I actually believe it's really perfect. It's really good. It's one of my favorites. Now let's do some of these other ones that you guys probably won't care about. So Devil Children, Ice and Fire Book, they're D. I don't like Akira or Jin. They're not very likable characters, and coming off of games like the first three Devil Children games, which were quite nice, these ones are not very good. And you know what? I'm actually gonna put I'm gonna put these two lower, the Demi-Kids versions, which are the two games that precede these two, and they're not good either. They introduced those two characters. They're in the English version. I don't really know how much of a difference the English versus Japanese makes, but I don't like those characters, and I really was disappointed after playing Red and Black Book, which were super good. I'm going to put them in S. I like Black Book a lot more than Red Book, but that's just my personal taste, I guess. Messiah Riser is a completely different Devil Children game. It's good, but not great. It's a SRPG, and I kind of liked it, so I'm going to put it in C. And let's see. Trying to find any more Devil Children. Oh, White Book. So, translator Tom says that this character is his favorite. White Book is pretty good. I like Black Book better, so I'm putting White Book in B tier. All these Devil Children games are very short, but not all of them are good. Yeah. What am I missing? I'm missing Puzzle to Call. Where is that? Oh, here it is. Puzzle to Call is pretty fun. I like repetitive games where you don't really do a lot. So I'm going to put Puzzle to Call in B tier because although I probably played it like twice, I like it. It's fun. Let me knock out some more of these like ones that you guys probably won't care about. Let's do Card Summoner. Where's Card Summoner? Card Summoner is whatever. I didn't like it. It's weird because it actually has multiple endings like a normal MEGATEN game. The thing that bothers me is that people keep saying that it's a Devil Children game, but it's not. So don't do that. Okay, more games that people won't really care about, sadly. Last Bible 2, very good, B tier. Last Bible 3, even better. It goes A tier. Last Bible Special, haven't finished it. So far, so good. C tier. I have finished Last Bible, but not the Japanese version. I played Revelations, the Demon Slayer, and from what I understand, it's not much different. Bad story, good gameplay. E tier though. Sorry. Let's do Majin Tensei. So the first Majin Tensei, people keep saying looks good and looks better than Majin Tensei 2, which bothers me. a lot. Okay, since I'm putting it here, look at this. This is becoming the SRPG category. Oh, speaking of which, Another Bible. I really like Another Bible. I'm putting it at A tier. Another Bible is an SRPG. It's not really related to the other ones, I don't think. But it's very fun. It's super short. I really, really like it. Ronde. Ronde's not bad, but also not good. It's definitely D tier. Majin Tensei 2. Good story, fun gameplay. I don't care if people say they don't like it. I love sci-fi. Like, Majin Tensei's S tier because it's one of the only times that Megaten turns towards sci-fi. The other one that's really notable being Strange Journey, and look, those two are excellent. Speaking of which, I put Strange Journey and Strange Journey Redux. People will be like, why? It's because to me, they're completely different games. Redux, you are F class. Okay, and Strange Journey, you're triple S. Perfect game. Didn't need more content. The gameplay changes definitely were good for some people. I didn't need them. I really prefer the original. And one of the things that I talked to someone on Twitter, and they said something that was really profound to me. They said if they saw this box art for this game, they wouldn't have got into Megaten. And I would say the same thing. This box art is so appealing. This one, I'm just like, ugh. It looks like a Persona box art, which we'll get into soon. I'm saving Persona towards the end. Let's do Imagine. Imagine was a game that I actually didn't play in the sense that you're supposed to, go through the story and stuff. When I played it, I just used it to talk to people about SMT because I didn't have a whole lot of ways to do that. So I'm going to put it C tier. I used it for not what its purpose was, so I don't even know the story. So this one is one of the games that I basically can't really rate, but since I enjoyed the conversation aspect of it a lot, I'm ready to get high. I'm putting this in G tier. This is Gaiden Tensei. I've never played Gaiden Tensei. It's the only one I've never played. Sorry, I didn't do it. I also didn't put the original Megami Tensei game, the one that's not made by Atlas. It's made by, forgot their name, Telcom or something. Someone's gonna correct me and I'm gonna look dumb. Okay, Catherine. I like Catherine's story. I like the characters. I love the music. Didn't really like the gameplay because I suck at puzzles. So you get B tier. Everyone should play Catherine because it's fun. It's the closest you'll get to having Persona and SMT combined in a sense, I think. But it's kind of weird and, controversy. I put the old version because whatever. Okay. SMT if. You go in the F category. So it's more like SMTF. I don't like this game. People got really mad at Gideon saying, why don't you bring the game over? Why are you holding it? I don't like this game. I played Charlie's Route recently. I played that on the airplane going to and from Europe because it's a super short game. Did not like it. It lets you bypass some of the annoying dungeons, but it's not satisfying. They don't characterize Charlie any more than they characterize Yumi or What's-Her-Face. Not good. The only character who gets development if you play the 3 routes is Hazama, and I don't like that. Even the nurse is slightly more characterized than you are. There's just a vague description of who you are. For Charlie, he's the punk guy. For Yumi, she's just the girl. For Reiko, she's the girl who knows something about Hazama. Those are the only character traits. You don't have any character traits, and it bothers me. By the way, Nobu is better than Tamaki. Don't argue with me. Read the mangas. Nobu is the protagonist in the mangas versus Tamaki, who goes on to Persona. Tamaki gets forced to be married by the stalker creepy guy who likes the model that Tamaki's based off of. So it's a very uncomfortable situation if you know the whole backstory to Tamaki's character creation. So if you like Tamaki, that's good, but Nobu is a better character because he's not marred by that sort of thing. Okay, Majin Tensei. All right, Megami Tensei 1. No, this is Megami Tensei 2, sorry. I like this one the most out of those two. I was gonna put Kyoyaku to simplify it, but they're two different games and they play different. Megami Tensei 2 is A tier. It's the first one to have Kaneko art, and it's also the first one to have Jack Frost. It's good. Megami Tensei 1 is C tier. Played it. Everyone should play it because it's good, but it's just good. That's it. No. Should I go to Debbie-sama? No, I'll finish off some of these other random ones. And Megami Tensei 9. Shin Megami Tensei 9. A tier. People will be like, why? It's an Xbox game. It's whatever. It has 9 endings. First of all, it takes place between SMT 1 and 2, just like Imagine and more or less like If. And its story is interesting. It's so interesting. In fact, they bring some of those characters into Strange Journey and Strange Journey Redux. So 9 is good. It's slow and old, like every old game. I don't like when people say, oh, it's aged badly. Old games are old, and they're going to play like an old game. So you either play it or you don't. But you can't play this unless you, like, hack your Xbox or something, because, yeah. And it's not in English. But someone recently wrote the script in English, so that's good. You can look at the script while you play. Okay, more mainline. SMT1. SMT1, D tier. People will be like, really, you're a fake fan. It's good. It's good, but I could live the rest of my life without ever playing it again, and that's not good. SMT2 is B tier. It's better. I would replay it again, which I'm probably going to do sooner than SMT1. I like the music better. The story is better. The presentation is all improved. That's just kind of what happens, I guess, when you make a couple of games back to back to back. Apocalypse. This one's hard for me to rate because a couple of things. It's got the best gameplay of the SMT4 thing, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. But the cast I really didn't enjoy. So I was stuck because I kind of liked the story, just didn't like the cast. And I also had an issue with some things like the DLC didn't like. I hate the way that Atlas is going with DLC, and this is the worst version of DLC that Mainline has got so far. But it's a good game. I don't care. People who don't like SMT Apocalypse, they're people who typically, well, not everyone, but the people who just kind of like, they're just mad that SMT Apocalypse is not like old SMT games, and that's what's gonna happen when you have a company for like 30 years. They're gonna change over time. All right. Okay. Next up, SMT4. I didn't like SMT4 as much as other people, so it goes lower on the list. It's B. It's not bad. Come on, like, don't get mad. But yeah, Persona Q. Persona Q is an E tier. I have never played that game again. I've never played both sides of it. I didn't really enjoy it. It's funny because I tried a Nitrian Odyssey game and I really liked it, and I played Strange Journey a lot and I really liked it. People say this is basically that, and it's not. It doesn't do it for me. The comedy doesn't land. I don't like the art style particularly. It doesn't feel comfortable. You know, a bunch of other things. I was gonna put I did put PQ2 on here. PQ2 goes higher. It's a C tier. Very much improved from here. The art style looks more solid. It doesn't look as like wishy-washy. Like he's not sure how characters should be rendered. Didn't finish it, obviously, because I wanted to play it in English, so I just played it enough to see what's different, and it's a marked improvement. The gameplay is significantly better. For someone who didn't like PQ, I really like PQ2 more. Not enough for it to be higher than C, though. Okay, Persona 5 Dancing. You go E tier. No, actually, no, you go F tier, because I don't like this. I hate DLC. This is one of the ones that does it in the worst possible way. Actually, while I'm at it, Persona 3... you go E tier. Persona 3 I like the music better, so that's just a music thing, but I hate the DLC, and I hate that, you know, like, it was largely just, like, not necessary, and the fact that we didn't get the Vita version in English, or at least not a physical copy, it bothers me because, yeah, it feels cheap. That game feels cheap. One of the big complaints that I heard on Amazon, I read on Amazon and stuff, is that it shouldn't have never even been released for PS4 because of how simple it is and how, you know, how lacking it is. It should have been a mobile game, and I agree. I think it should have been a mobile game. I would have played it mobile. Some people don't like rhythm games on mobile, but I actually love rhythm games a lot. So those go there. All right. Next meme. Persona 3 or 4 dancing. You go higher on the list. What? I know I just contradicted myself in some ways, but no. Has a Vita version, so it's quote unquote mobile. That we got anyway. It has a story mode. The story mode is like whether you like it or not. I actually like that it included one at all. And yeah, it's the big downsides is that one, it's such an easy rhythm game, and two, the amount of songs is super lacking. So actually, no, you go lower. You're a D tier now. Okay, Persona Arena, the first one. You go S tier because very good fighting game. If you like fighting games, good. Nice story, yada yada yada. I liked it. Second Persona Arena game, you're C tier. More characters, cool, whatever. Story was better, but it was less competent of a fighter, less balanced. So from a gameplay perspective, it was weaker. Sucks to be you. Okay. Now let's do Debbie-sama. First one is E tier. It's E tier because it's not a very good game. It reminds me a lot of If, actually, where I just felt like there's nothing going on. And maybe that's a choice that they made deliberately, but I doubt it. I didn't really like it that much. So if you haven't played it, which most of you guys haven't, I didn't really like it. As you can see, though, I have a pretty even spread of games that are English only, Japanese only, so it's not like I'm just indiscriminately dinging all the ones that are in Japanese only. There's some rhyme and reason to it. Soul Hackers. I don't like Soul Hackers that much. You're also E tier. Marked improvement over the first game, but it sucks when most of the characters that are in the spookies are so annoying. I created a list, or I created a request thing on Twitter where you can tell me the character you hate the most, and Yuichi got a lot of votes, and even Nemesa got votes, and that says something because Yuichi and Nemesa are deuteragonists, I guess. They're not the protagonists, but they're important to the game, and for them to be integral and to be not liked says something. I mean, if someone said they didn't like Lunch, then they're like obviously like crazy. But yeah, sorry, Soul Hackers. Actually, no, you go up higher. You're D. After talking about Lunch, and there's a lot of redeeming factors, but it's just not that good. Basically anything under C is something that I probably would never play again, or I would play again much later in life. Raidu, let's do... did I pick the same... Okay, so I picked the same cover art, sorry, for Raidu. So let's just imagine this one's Raidu 1. Raidu 1 is the C tier. You're noticing a trend, right? Like a lot of the games are just good, but not great. Raidu is one of those. The story was pretty good. It had a lot of interesting elements, like the corridor, the alternate like dimensions, or timelines, I guess, if you want to call it that. The references to other mainline games, particularly SMT2, very interesting. Raido is a cool character design, even though he's just wearing a school uniform that's from the Taisho era, which is where the game takes place. So, like, congrats on wearing school uniform. All in all, good game. Especially the music. The music almost just makes me want to put it on a B tier, because I love when Shoji Meguro does the things that's within his wheelhouse, and he's very good at jazz. So that score was quite good. So pretend this is SMT1, or Raido 1, by the way, guys. Raido 2, however, A tier. Fixes a lot of the gameplay issues. Still good music. Better story, in my opinion, and because it has Don, and I love Don. He's like one of the best characters. It opens up the whole concept of the Kuzunoa clan, so now we get introduced to the Girin clan. So all in all, like a lot of cool things. I love when they boost up the lore like that, and they did it in a good way. So up higher. All right. Let's do Synchronicity Prologue. I'm gonna put it. It's gonna be one of the only SS tiers. Not that kind of SS. Come on, guys. Synchronicity Prologue, super duper short, very satisfying, and even though it feels unfinished because of the way the pacing works, very good game. It's not like Jack Bros. Everyone who keeps comparing it to Jack Bros, stop. Like, it's not like Jack Bros. Jack Bros, first of all, requires all three. Otherwise, they're the Devil Buster Busters, because, come on, like, if you played Devil Summoner, you know that Devil Buster Busters are Jack Frost and Pyrojack. But anyways, I love the story. This actually made me very hyped for Strange Journey Redux, and then when I played it, I was like, and when I played Redux, I mean, that's when I was like, man, this game very good, this game not so much. So Synchronicity Prologue, if you like Metroidvania games, very good. I really like it. Yep. Okay, so we're getting like close to the end of the good things. Digital Devil Saga 1, you get a B. Very interesting plot up until this point. I really liked it. Gameplay, like so much grinding. That's probably the biggest bad thing, is that there's a lot of grinding. Love the character designs. Love the world. The graveyard. The junkyard is probably one of the most interesting places that Atlas has ever made. So good. And it ends on a very interesting note that made me want to play the second game. However, second game is C tier. Although I love these two games together, comparing them separately is what makes it easier to see that, in my opinion, Digital Devil Saga 2 is the weaker one. Some of the changes happen because partway through the development of the first game, what's her name leaves. Yugo Dai. She gets very sick in the very early stages of the first game. So then the plot is written mostly by Tadashi Satomi, who does the Persona games, and it kind of resonates. You can tell, I guess. And that's not good. The novels, Quantum Digital Devil Saga, are Yugo Dai's version of the story, which kind of adapts some of the elements that Tadashi Satomi created. For instance, Gale, who wasn't a character at all in Yugo Dai's version originally, gets added into the Quantum Digital Devil Saga story. So, all in all, Digital Devil Saga is a very interesting Megami Tensei game series. People want more of it, but it doesn't really make sense if you actually play the games. It doesn't make sense for them to add more. If anything, they could just, like, I don't know. I can't really think of another way to do this except maybe continue games from the junkyard, I guess. Like Tales from the Junkyard, like not unlike the Borderlands thing, I guess. I don't know. Let's do another not so Megaten game. Maken X. I put Maken Shao, but pretend this is Maken X. I like Maken X's story. It's very interesting to have a game where the protagonist is a sword. Maken Shao fixes some things, like it fixes a lot of the balancing, because some of the different people you can brainjack, which is like taking over their bodies, some of them are like way stronger than others, and if you play the original, you find yourself using like the same like 3 characters throughout the whole thing, or maybe even just 1 character, because you find that there's some that are just way better than others. The story is interesting. The different endings are negligible, I guess. Music is good. I prefer the first person of Maken X, but Maken Shao is pretty good too. Play Maken, please. Alright. So let's do Desu. Desu 1. Desu 1 goes SS tier. Love Desu 1. What my favorite bro in all of Megaten is Atsuro, and he exists in there. I think that in terms of characterization, Desu 1 has the most realistic characters given the apocalypse. Or if you're given a situation where you were going to die in 7 days, you can see the counter on your head, so you know when you're going to die. Not only that, but like there's all these crazy things like demons and whatnot. I love the spread of reactions. There's so many different reactions. There was the cult, which is like a classic, a classic trope in this type of scenario. There's the people who deny it, the people who try to escape. lots and lots of interesting different narratives, and I like them all. I really do. Not everyone does, and that's fine, but this felt so much like a perfect Megaten game for me in terms of the way its story and the tone. I liked it a lot. And then Overclocked added so much better, more content. It's one of the few remakes that vastly improved over the original. A good example of something that didn't is Strange Journey and Strange Journey Redux. Golden is like a negligible improvement in my opinion. So that's why Destiny 1 gets scored so high. Destiny 2, however, it's more like a B. Destiny 2, I started watching Evangelion because people kept saying that it's like that, and it is. And that's why I marked it down lower. It would be like a S tier or A tier. I like SRPGs, so that's why almost all the SRPGs are like here and like the good range, because I like them. But the story is so similar, like beat for beat, that I just didn't really think that it was as original of a game as I originally thought, which I loved it. Some of the gameplay is improved. I don't really like the characters as much as in there's a lot of characters. I think it has the most characters out of any Megaten game, and it's not a good thing actually, because kind of like what some problems I'll talk about when I talk about some of the Persona games. It's just drowned. I feel like there's too many characters, and there's not enough development on any of them. It's kind of like If, where I don't really get to know anybody besides like their one personality trait. Except If had no excuse, even though it's made in only a few months. So Destiny 2, pretty good. I would play it again. I need to play it again because I never did the Triangulum, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be epic if I actually do it. Okay. So I've been saving this mainline for the last of the mainline, well, even though I have DX2, or D2 actually. So Nocturne is weird, right? So Nocturne is influential. It has so many different versions. I mean, to say that it has like 3 versions, the vanilla, the one we got, and the Chronicle version, which has Raito in place of Dante. So it's interesting. Gameplay is very different from any other Megaten game, and its approach to reasons in this game, but alignments in others is very different. Its music is also very different from earlier mainline games. If you were a Japanese fan and you played SMT2, then you waited 9 years and you got Nocturne, you would be surprised. Whether that's pleasantly or not is up to you. So Nocturne is weird because it's not quite my favorite game, but it's also pretty good. It's hard for me to really rate it though, because I haven't played it in like 15 years. I played it when it came out in America in 2004, and I haven't played it ever since. I actually recently started replaying it, the Chronicle version specifically, which was translated and hacked and all that jazz fairly recently, I believe last year or the year before. But it's not as much as important for me as it is for some people. It is literally my first SMT game, so without Nocturne I wouldn't have been like a SMT fanboy, I guess. And that's a big deal for some people. I love the art style. I love the characters. People don't like Isamu, but they need to die if they don't like Isamu. Isamu and Chiaki are very interesting. The whole cast is interesting. The Drama City adds more elements to the story, so that makes them better. All in all, it's a B tier. I will definitely replay it. My plan is to finish Chronicle Edition to see what the differences are, because I do want to know if the Dante interactions are just beat for beat the same as Raito's interactions. I don't know, because I haven't finished my playthrough of Chronicle Edition yet. So it's good. It's not like it's not the best though, and I don't think it ever will be. Okay, DX2. So this is hard for me to rate because I hate the story. It's very bland. I don't really like the gameplay, but on the other hand, I play it every day. So it's one of those. I'm gonna put you D tier because you're definitely better than Devil Summoner 1. Because you actually have a story and characterization. So DX2 mobile game actually has a story, and the story is developing and actively being worked on. We're going to get a new chapter, I believe, in June, along with a bunch of new things. For what it's worth, I really like this game. I really like PvP because I like beating other people's teams who don't know how to play MEGATEN, so they don't build good parties. So yes. Oops. But yes. DX2 good. So I'm going to do the last thing, and then we'll do the mainline Persona games. Or the main Persona games. Tokyo Mirage Sessions. You get SS. I don't care. I hate that people keep thinking about this game in comparison to the teaser trailer, which just said the Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem. It did not give any promises. People really wanted it to be something. This is a lot like the Persona 5S situation, where people really wanted it to be a Switch port. So they got really upset when it wasn't a Switch port. People really wanted this to be a hardcore, like, Project X Zone or whatever, where it's just the characters from Mainline interacting with the characters from Fire Emblem. This game's announcement got me to play Fire Emblem, and it's okay. I don't really like the franchise as much. Surprisingly, considering that it's an SRPG franchise, I just thought it was whatever. But I've only played like Awakening and the other 3DS games, the remake of some game that, and they're all just whatever. Like, I played them all the way through, and I decided I'm never going to play them again, so they would all be like D, E, or F tier, I guess. But, like, rant aside, the game is good, in my opinion. It plays a lot like these games in terms of the battle system and a lot of the mechanics. It's more MEGATEN than it is, or more mainline than it is Persona. That in mind, it does have so much like UI and other things very similar to Persona 5, to the point where it almost feels like this was the alpha Persona 5. And by alpha, I mean like the alpha dog, because it's superior to Persona 5, in my opinion. Me not being super invested in Fire Emblem probably resulted in me in enjoying it more, because I've seen complaints about like the censorship. I saw complaints about Tiki, one of the characters in this game, who's she's an idol, but in Fire Emblem, she's some important dragon person. She's like a little kid in this game, and people were really upset about that, because I guess in the later Fire Emblem game, she's not. The music, in my opinion, is very well done, but I don't like that kind of music. So I was conflicted, because I could appreciate the quality, and I knew that this was well-made music. And well-made as in it fit the themes of the game, it fit the situations in which they existed in, but it also had this nice quality of being able to be listened to outside of the game, which a lot of these other MEGATEN games you can't really say, in my opinion, that you could just listen to it. I'm not over here listening to Digital Devil Saga's like soundtrack while I'm making breakfast, but I probably could listen to the Tokyo Mirage Sessions while like driving to work, you know? Gameplay, very good. Story, it's one of the weaker parts of the game. It's actually the weakest part. The art, it's take it or leave it. You either like Toei or you don't. I liked it. People dinged him for reasons, like his reasoning, like he really wanted one of the characters to have glasses, and she didn't have glasses in the final edit. And people were like, that's bad game design. But no, sometimes you really care about a specific attribute to a character, and it gets changed. If all of the MEGATEN art books had notes like that, then we would be pretty shocked. One of the things with Jack Frost, for instance, is that during the Devil Summoner 1 era, he wanted to redesign Jack Frost altogether. And the only reason why he didn't is because Jack Frost was also the mascot for the Puikura machines, the print club machines, and they were super popular. So the only reason why we didn't get a new Jack Frost is because the Puikura existed. So keep that in mind when you dock this game. You can not like it, whatever, but the passionate dislike, especially given that most people are upset more so about it not being what they wanted it to be, is disappointing. You got to grow up eventually. You can't be these people upset that you didn't get what you thought it could have been, because that's just a what if scenario. You don't if you live your whole life based on what ifs, you're going to be very sad. Okay, here's the mainline Persona games. We're going to start with Persona 5. It's solid C tier. Good gameplay, very good gameplay, because I love the dungeon crawling in Persona 5. But that aside, most like the confidants are too mixed. Some are very good, like No Good Tora. I love Tora's story. It was my favorite character actually in the game is Tora. And then I also liked Gun Guy and I liked Hospital Girl. All good characters. But then you have some of the playable cast being so unlikable for me that I just didn't like it, and I didn't even want to do their confidants. Then you had people who were just kind of like whatever. I really liked Ryuji. I really liked An. I somewhat liked what's her name, Makoto. But characters like Futaba and Yusuke and Haru it was not even no fault of her own. She just didn't get enough time, and I believe that that's fault on the design of the game. Not her character itself. She's not inherently bad or poorly written. She just doesn't get enough time to develop. One of the things that we talked about in my podcast is that, or that Spider from my podcast brought up, is that a character like Naoto, she existed throughout the game in Persona 4. So then by the time you got her as a cast member, you were pretty familiar with her. At Haru, you see her in the background, but not until her dungeon becomes relevant do you actually get to know her, and that's what makes that design not as integral. She's not integrated, and that just sucks. So, for all the things, it's a C. It has 110 songs, but I only hear 20 songs. Oh, okay. So this is probably the most controversial take. People might argue with me on that. Persona 3 is A tier. I remember when I first bought Persona 3 because it said Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3, and I just assumed that it was like a sequel to Nocturne. And I was like, what the heck? This is so different. And I don't like simulator things. I didn't want to date all these people. But at the same time, when Persona 3 came out, I was a teenager, so obviously I actually did want to date these little like this like dark-skinned girl. This like and Bebe. I like Bebe. If you like Bebe, give this video a thumbs up. So, good game. I liked it a lot. It really surprised me, and I love the themes. I also loved how the characters didn't seem to all mesh. So, one thing in like Final Fantasy and other games is everyone becomes bros very quickly. They go from I didn't know you and I didn't like you, or sometimes I'm your enemy, to suddenly they're your friends. Which is another reason I didn't like Persona 5. I don't want to get into the spoiler, but yes, something that happens in Persona 5 is really annoying. But anyways, Persona 3, despite them being in this sucky situation where they have to like go through this tower at night and people are going into coma and whatnot, they get along, but they're not friends. They're like coworkers that know that they have to get along to work well together. I love that dynamic where everyone has such a strong personality and no one is particularly like, well, we just all get along. I mean, they all love the protagonist because reasons, but I love that cast, and I love the wide variety. Futaba, not Futaba. What's her name? The I'll Never Miss girl, Yukari. She's good. She's like one of my favorite characters, and same thing with Junpei. Those two characters are the best in Persona 3. Too bad. If you don't agree with me, too bad. You're wrong. Okay. Persona 4. Persona 4 is okay. So I'm in a weird spot because I like Persona 4 a lot, but it had some obvious flaws. But it's not as bad as Persona 5, so it has to be B tier. So Persona 4 is good. I also remember when I first bought it, when it first came out, and, you know, I'm still in high school, so I'm like, Persona. Or maybe I was just out of high school. Good game. Solid. Improves some of the gameplay mechanics from the Persona 3 era, and it, like, just kind of, like, hybridizes them and makes them more efficient. The cast is less coherent, in my opinion, and they become a lot more one-noted than in Persona 3, where there's these different arcs, and you kind of get all this development from the different characters, and they grow. In Persona 4, it's way more focused on the protagonist, and that's unfortunate because that means that everyone else who's playable becomes less relevant, and they don't get as much growth. Alright, so here's the big three of Persona, right? Everyone's always like, these are the best. Well, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Persona 1 is SSS tier, and here's why. Persona 1's character cast, very good. It reminds me of Persona 3 in the sense that they don't all necessarily love each other, but they do work well together. They all have defined personalities, just like in Persona 3. The only bad thing is kind of like with some of these games down here, where the gameplay is really bad. It's really repetitive, it's slow, clunky. There's all these different other words you can say. Don't say outdated though, because it's a product of its time for sure. So for all of its flaws, I will say that if I tried to put myself in that era in the 90s playing this game for the first time, it would feel good. And for all intents and purposes, it does its job very well. I love the story, like how simple it is. The manga also compounds that. See, if I was going to add the manga like quality to the F would be like up here, because the mangas really do fix a lot of the problems I had with If, which is to say that the mangas tell a story versus If. This tells a story, and it does it pretty straightforward and nicely, but the manga adds to it. So it's already a pretty strong foundation, and it's just getting added to. The music is good. Not all of it's made by Meguro, but it's fine because it's all good. Everything about it, like the mysteriousness of the Velvet Room, the mysteriousness of the situation, it's all really interesting. And because it's the progenitor, you know, by the time you play Persona 3, if you're a longtime fan, you're very familiar with a lot of the aspects. So all you're really anticipating with 3, 4, and 5 are what's going to change about the Velvet Room and the other situations. In this game, everyone can use any demon or whatever. Like, so essentially they're all wild cards in a sense. And that's fine. And in 3, 4, and 5, they change that a lot. I love Persona 1. It's good. I put this cover art instead of the PSP version because I like this version better. Even if its localization is odd, it's not like it's bad necessarily. It's a product of its time. So that brings me to Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. Eternal Punishment is SS class. I love Eternal Punishment. That cast also very well written. If you notice, all of these, like all the platitudes I have to give to these, are all because their characters are really well defined and strongly written. Eternal Punishment has the best Persona cast, in my opinion, period. Everyone works well together. It's just good. And the story itself is pretty good. Even if it's confusing if you played this before playing Innocent Sin, it's a very good game. Now, Innocent Sin, you go S. You're good, but not as good as your sequel, I guess. So I love Innocent Sin's cast, but they're not as well defined as this one, and they don't really vibe with me as well as this one. These guys are all teenagers. These ones are all adults. I'm an adult. I'm old, so I like these characters because I can understand a lot of their situations. Typically, people kind of like discard someone like Ulala's like character story because she's just stuck in the past or she's just hurt or whatever. It's like, no, sometimes significant things happen to you, especially over a elongated time, like 10 years. And it really, really affects your character. Her character, by the time we meet her, has changed significantly from the point where she was significantly altered by a lot of the things that happened to her over time. So she's a very strong character, and I love Ulala. Oh my god. So anyway, this is the list. It's the final list. Unfortunately, I just don't know where Gaiden Tensei would fall because I've never played it. But make sure to keep subscribing and liking and whatever. Tell me if I'm wrong. I put some pretty controversial takes. I'll say that at least. But definitely really am grateful for all of the boosts and subscribers. I know some of them are just because of the podcast, which I'm glad you guys like the podcast because, like, hey, I'm not a very good public speaker, and I really bank hard on Spider, Neb, and Glib holding down the fort, and Neb and Glib and Spider, they do a really good job of doing that. And if you're following me because of trivia, don't worry, I'm uploading a new trivia video fairly soon. Yeah, so thank you for the 300. Here's to getting, I don't know, 1 million by the end of the year. All right, thanks guys, and bye, fellow Megatenists.